Hello everyone, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to manage Cisco routers in a graphical way. So in short we are going to see the graphical management of Cisco routers. The tools which I have used for this tutorial is Cisco SDM, which is the legacy graphical management tool, then Cisco Configuration Professional and along with Java Runtime. So if you have this tool, well and good. If you don't have this tools, you can just visit to my blog, which is ArshNetworks.blogspot.in, and you got different pages. When you move to download page, you'll see all the tools like Cisco SDM here, and you can Cisco CCP, which is version 2.5. As well as what I have done here is like I took one virtual machine. On top of that virtual machine I've installed all these tools. So instead of downloading tools, you can even download my virtual machine and you can integrate this virtual machine with Oracle VirtualBox. To know more how to use this virtual machine, you can click on this link. This is like a tutorial which will explain you how to make the management PC up, how to integrate this PC even with GNS3. And like when you move to tutorial, you'll see one more tutorial that is integrating the management PC with GNS3. So let's get started. On this page that is on labs, you'll see the topology is ready for the graphical management of Cisco router. So this is the topology which I'm going to use for this tutorial. So let us open GNS3. So this tutorial is for those people who have already done CCNA routing switching and who has even done CCNA security, because I'm not going to deal with the theory part of like what is SDM and what is CCP, but in short I'll say you that these are the graphical tools which are used for the graphical management. It's like till now you have accessed CLI or you have been using CLI to configure routers, but now we'll use CCP and Cisco SDM for the graphical management. Meanwhile, this is like what I have done. I took a cloud and under this cloud, I've configured VirtualBox adapter, and this is the adapter for the management piece. You can see I got VirtualBox adapter. So to know more about the integration, how to integrate your management PC with GNS3, you can just watch my tutorial. So I'm just going ahead and I'm going to connect all these devices. So the connection, whatever I'm doing here is according to the topology. You can see the topology on my page. Let me show you the labels like 0 fast ethernet 0/0 is being moved to the LAN and 0/1 is going to the WAN. And this is like 0/0 and even this is 0/0. Let me start the devices. And I'm using Super Putty for all console access. So before moving to Cisco SDN or Cisco CCP, we'll be starting with the initial configuration. And those who of you are like fed up with the initial configuration, like why all this all the time I have to start with the initial configuration, for them I even got one more surprise. Like these are the three routers, R1, R2 and R3. So on this router there is no configuration right now. Now what you can do, you can again visit my blog and go to configs page. On this config page, this is the initial configuration for Cisco SDM CCP and syslog server. But this is the configuration or this is the topology which I'm going to use for these three labs. So here is the topology. Here are the IP addresses. If you want to assign them manually, you're most welcome to assign them. And for those of you who are fed up with initial configuration, just move to my page configs and here is the configuration for R1. So copy this one, go to super party, paste it here. So we are done with the initial configuration. Let us similarly do the configuration for R2. This is the initial configuration for R2. Copy, paste it here. We are even done with the configuration of R2. Now let us go and copy this one, paste it here. Now we need to give a default route pointing towards R1. Now don't worry, there is a mistake here. I'll just update this one. So let us go and let us ping to R2. This is what is the IP address of R2 is to. So IP interface. This is the IP address of R2. Double click on this one, go to R1, say do ping, and right click to paste. And let us see whether our ping is going to R2 or not. So you can see that we are done with the initial configuration. Now we have to move ahead and we need to start the management PC. So here is my management PC. I'm going to start this management PC. Usually see the management PC is being start here. Now the same image, the management PC which I'm using here is already I've uploaded the disk, virtual disk on my blog. If you move to my blog, you can download this management PC from here. This is the management PC. Just click on this link to download and follow the instruction, and you can you can make your management PC up within no time. And the password is Cisco here in small. So let me type the password Cisco. So my management PC is up, and if you observe, I have installed almost all the graphical tools or all the tools of Cisco here. Like you can see Cisco ASDM IDM launcher, Cisco CCP, VPN client, Cisco SDM, and TV Cisco Observer, as well as Wireshark to capture the packets. We need to see the IP address of this machine. So Windows plus R CMD IP config will display the IP address. The IP address of this machine is 10.1.1.2, and which is connected to your router 1. And the IP address of router 1 of this interface is 10.1.1. Let me show you the IP address here. Here, this is the IP address to which my management PC is connected. Now, let me do a ping from here. Let me do a continuous ping to 10.1.1.1, which is the default gateway. So it's reaching my router. To make sure whether the ping is reaching on my router or not, let me enable debug ICMP messages. So you can see that the ping is reaching to my router. So you all to disable all debugging messages. Now similarly, let us check whether our ping is going to router R2 and router R3. See here what is the IP address of R2 and R3. So R2 IP address is 7.7.2 and R3 is 8.8.2. You can even see in the console. It is always better to check that connectivity. So this is the IP address of R2. Let me show you. Let us say ping to 7.7.7. It's reaching, right? Now let us check with R3. 8.8.8.2. It's reaching to even R3. Fine. Now let us see whether R1 is able to ping to the management PC or not. Management PC is located at 1.1.1. So my ping is perfectly fine. My connectivity is perfectly fine from PC to router, router to PC. Right. Now after this one, once you install like Cisco SDM and Cisco CCP, if you are going to install manually, please make sure that the heap size of Java is configured. Windows plus R will take and type your control will take you to the panel. Here you have Java, and when you double click on this Java, go to Java, click on view, and make sure that you have configured this one hyphen xmx 512. This is the heap size, which is this is like memory required for this application to run. Now I want to access my R1 in a graphical mode. So for this one, what I have to do is I need to enable HTTP service on the router, and this is the command to enable HTTP service on the router. This is even written on my blog, like step 1 is enable HTTP service on the router. So right now I want to access graphical management of router R1, so I've enabled HTTP service on the router R1. After accessing this one, go to Cisco SDM, click on Cisco SDM. Now the IP address of R1 is do show IP interface brief. The IP address is 10.1.1 or 7.7.1. So we'll go for 10.1.1, click on launch. I hate Internet Explorer. Let me click here to maximize the screen, and you can see that we are accessing our router in a graphical management mode. The first, in every graphical interface of Cisco, you will see three configuration tabs. One is Home tab, the other one is Configure tab, the other one is Monitor tab. Home tab is going to display the complete information about the device, like what is the model of the device, how much is the flash capacity, available RAM, what is the iOS version, SDM version you're using, how many interfaces you have, and what you have configured. See, we have configured one static route, so it's even displaying the static route here. So after that, the second tab is configuration tab. From here, you can do all the configuration. So for example, let us create one loopback. So let me click on add, then go to logical interface and click on loopback. Well, even this happens sometimes. Now click on the monitor tab, you can see like the CPU, the amount of CPU that is being utilized, what is the amount of memory being utilized. So this is just for the management of monitoring purpose we use this tab. But mostly if you want to configure, you can configure from here itself. This was the graphical access of your Cisco router. Now we have seen graphical access like without any authentication. Now if I want authentication on my device, then what I need to do is like I need to apply authentication on HTTP lines. So I'm going to say this is what is the command is IP HTTP. This is the command to enable the authentication. You can copy from here or you can write the command here. So this is going to enable the authentication on HTTP lines. And for authentication purpose, I'm going to use the local database of the router. So let me create one user here. Say username Arshad and privilege 15 and the password is going to be Cisco 123. Why privilege 15? Because a user who has privilege level 15 can only access the graphical tools of Cisco. No one else can access. So let me create one more user with privilege level say 10, and this is going to be just a dummy user. So now let us move to our management PC. This is my management PC. Double click will start now 10.1.1.1. This is the router IP address. So now you can see that his one username and password box is being displayed, and you can see here only level 15 has access to this one. So let us try with the dummy user first. Dummy, who is privilege level is 10, and the password is Cisco12. He is not getting the access. So now let me change to Arshad Cisco123. Now see here, you got the screen. This proves that the XCM, or this is the Java authentication. You need to enter the same username and password twice. So in this tutorial, I have shown you how to access the first tool, graphical management, that is Cisco SDM, which is a legacy tool. So the problem with Cisco SDM is like if I have more routers, now think that even I got R2 and R3 and I want to access them graphically. The first step is you need to enable the HTTP service on the router. The command for this one is IP HTTP server, and it is going to enable the services. Now let me move to my management PC and let me minimize this one. This is the graphical interface for router R1. Now let me even get the graphical interface for R2. Now let me change the IP address of R27.7.7.2. Click on launch. Now this is going to provide me the graphical interface for R2. So similarly, let me try for R3, launch. So here, this is the graphical management tool or interface of your R2. Now the problem with Cisco SDM is if I have more routers, then I need to open more windows. I don't have any centralized management or any centralized interface which is going to provide me all the routers in a single window. This is the problem with your Cisco SDM. So to overcome this problem, Cisco came up with CCP, which is more or less like your Cisco SDM, but it has like very good features, and as well as it provides you a centralized window from where you can access your multiple router. But for Cisco SDM, you need, without HTTP authentication, you cannot access. So the first thing you need to enable is like you need to enable the service on the router, HTTP service. After that, you have to also enable IP authentication on the router. So IP HTTP authentication local. After that, let me create one username. Say username R2 with privilege 15 and the password. Let us take the same password, Cisco123. Now you need to also enable the authentication line on the R3 because CCP does not work without authentication. For CCP, authentication is must. So username R3 and say privilege 15 and password is going to be Cisco123. Now minimize this one and even minimize this one. Open your management tool, and here we got Cisco CCP configuration professional. Double click on this one to open this application. Let me open the notepad. Let me increase the font size. Now R1 IP address is 10.1.1.1. You know this one, but still I want to make this one easy for understanding. So I'm just writing it once more time. Okay. The username for this one is R2, the username is R3, and for this one is Arsha. So here, yes, still your CCP is being loaded. It takes some time. Now this is like the first box, and let me remove this one. Let me type 10.1.1. The username is Harsha Cisco 123, and control key is this Cisco 123. And you can see that initially I'm adding all the devices here, R1, R2 and R3, and I'm providing all the username and password. Then I'm going to click on OK. So once I click on OK, the next step what I need to do is I need to discover all the devices. So it is going to start the discovery process. It is going to start discovering for the routers. Once the routers are discovered, you can see the host names are resolved here. So R2 is discovered, and still it is discovering for R1 and R3. So all the routers has been discovered. As you can see, the host names of the devices has been resolved here. But still you have to wait, because this is going to load all the features, and this is going to load all the configuration here. So this is your Cisco Configuration Professional, which is more secure, and nobody can log in without any authentication. Like, authentication is compulsory. Besides that, it is going to provide you one centralized management user interface from where you can access all the routers. So at one time you can add like 10 devices. The default is like 10 devices, but if you have more than 10 devices, you can add it here also. So see that this router has been discovered R1, and if you just double click on R1, discovering, it displays you the discovery description, like what is the iOS version and the platform. So this is like warning, we don't have to care about warning. Now if you want, now this is like default is for R2. Now if you want to configure R1, you can just click on, say, select the R1 IP address and just click on configure management interfaces, interface connections. So this becomes very easy to manage all the devices from a single window. More or like the interface is same like SDM. It's not much different, but the more advanced feature is like you got all the devices in a single window. Then click on it, and let us try to add a loopback from here. Even here, yes. So this is, see here, this is the 10.1.1.1 is the IP address of the router R1. So I'm going to add one loopback 11.11.11.11. Here I can say like 32. Click on OK. These are the commands that is going to be delivered by your Cisco CCP on the router. So when I say deliver, the changes are going to be affected. And once you click on OK, you can see here, you can see the loopback is added here. Now let us see here. Go to R1 and say to show IP interface print. So see here, we have created a loopback, and the method is EFTP is like from the graphical management. So in this tutorial, I have shown you two graphical management tools of Cisco. That is, first one is SDM, which stands for Security Device Manager, which runs on HTTP service, that is port number 80. So what you have to do, if you're using SDM, type this command to enable HTTP service. Now if you want to enable authentication, now this is the command to enable the authentication, that is the local authentication, the local database of the router. Plus don't forget to create one user with privilege level 15. Okay. And we have also seen CCP, which is Advanced Graphical Management Tool from Cisco, which stands for Cisco Configurational Professional. The major difference with Cisco SDM is if you have multiple routers, you need to open multiple windows. With CCP, it's more easy way, like you can add all the devices in a single window and you can access all your devices from the single window. So thanks for watching my tutorial and stay tuned to my blog. Thank you, bye bye, have a nice weekend.